radial deviation. When we're doing the joint shape is still convex on concave. All right, so if I'm going to do increase radial deviation, what if in this position, what glide would I want to push? I'm going to push, well, if I would be pushing medially, but in this situation I'll be pushing down. But that in anatomically, if I was in an anatomical position, I would be pushing medially. Make sense? All right.
So if it's like this, you'd be pushing.
No, you're pushing this way.
Oh,
it says going up.
But
it's just if you're going radius, you pull towards
ulnar.
radius.
Are we doing ulnar or radial?
I'm doing it ulnar. We can do the radial first. Sorry, my bad. My bad. I was on the wrong page. All right. Just jump the gun. Okay, so if we're going to increase radial deviation, here's radial deviation. I'm going to distract, and I'm going to laterally or move upward. This would be like the posterior glide. I have to lift up, which is, I have to use more muscle, and I don't get to use my weight on it. So if I was going to get Barrett in a good position, I would just say, Barrett, just relax. What do I have to be when I do my distraction? What am I trying to distract away from?
The styloid process?
The styloid process of the radius. You remember, our ulnar deviation has more range of motion than radial deviation. So I want to make sure I pull, have a decent distraction, a good toe in, and then I'm trying to use as much of my palm as I can to lift instead of my fingers. My fingers are going to get much tired much faster than my palm. So I'm going to try to get underneath, use my palm, distract and lift up this way. Okay? Now, I'm going to go back to, who was it? John and Adam. They were coming over and they were saying, well, you were pulling out, Lee, and I said, well, yeah, but, and they were being able to go 90 plus. If I'm doing a posterior glide and I have this much wrist flexion, I'm pulling this direction, right? But if my wrist is here and I can only move this much, I'm going to be pushing down perpendicular to that 90 degrees. Does that make sense? So, am I going to have to on a radial glide? Am I going to have to really change my position too much? No, because I don't have as much radial deviation anyways. But the more radial deviation, the more I'm going to go from here to here to here to here. No one's going to get to here, but unless you don't have a radial styloid. Come on, guys, that was a joke.
It's too early.
Too early. Good. Thank you for the courtesy laugh. I appreciate it. Makes me feel. All right, so I'm going to go out, and I'm going. I'm going to.
He's silly.
All right.
But with your friend who have the longer radius, you can't do
Ulnar.
this. Or was it ulnar?
They cut this off.
You can't do an ulnar glide.
I can. They were just trying to create more space. They went in and cut some of it out and then pulled it together. So now there's even a greater space.
Now there is like before.
But before, it was more wrist flexion extension. So he had to be careful because it kept clunking against that lunate. All right. So now we're going to do ulnar deviation. Which direction am I going to push? Up or down? Down. So I'm going to distract. I'm going to push down with the webbing of my hand right on that thumb, on that CMC thumb snuff box. Yeah, snuff box. Yeah. Okay. Just like that. All right. So let's just do those real quick, and then I'm going to show you all the fingers. This is not a good place for everyone to see. I know. With my sunshine. If I want to increase, we're going to do the metacarpal phalangeal joint. Okay? So if I'm going to do that, if I want to increase flexion, I'm going to move him anteriorly. Okay? If I'm going to increase extension, I would be taking him posteriorly. Okay, so anterior, posterior, anterior, posterior. Am I going to do an AB adduction at the MCP joint? I could, but it's very difficult. The most of the motion is flexion extension. Okay, so patient comfort, hand is pronated. I'm going to stabilize at the metacarpal joint. I can pinch, and I'm going to do one finger at a time. If I had to do all 4 fingers, I'm going to do one at a time. I'm going to pinch with my other hand. I'm going to pinch the the proximal end of the PIP, or proximal phalange, and I'm going to slide this. I can do distraction on any joint, right? We've talked about that. But if I want to increase range, I'm probably going to do an anterior glide to increase flexion. Whoops, sorry, that's not correct. This would be an anterior glide. So I'm pinching, and I'm pushing anteriorly. Now, does he really lack? No, but same thing. If this is their range here, I'm going to be pushing more downward. But as more range is increased, I'm going to be moving it into flexion and doing the move from there. But I would be from here, and I would be pushing. I'm pushing on the posterior aspect of the proximal phalange and pushing here to try to increase range of motion into flexion. Opposite for the extension. This is one you can do sitting. This is why hand therapy is so popular. Ryan, how you doing today? Oh yeah. We just sit here and talk, and you can hold hands with people, you know. So anyway, so I would, if I was doing a posterior glide, same thing. I would stabilize the CMC joint. I would take them into the extension range that he has, and then with my kind of the lateral aspect of my my index finger, I'm going to lift up to do the joint mode. Okay, like that. Now, I could do the same thing doing the PIP joint. So I would stabilize the proximal phalange, the middle phalange. I'm going to take into flexion and do the joint mode, pushing back here, or if I was here, I'd be pushing down. And I can do the same thing at the distal, the PIP. It's hard on the PIP. I'm going to show you tendon glides here in a little bit, but that's how it is. So I would be pushing down. Or here, I would be pushing here to extend. Hey, look, wow! No, just kidding. All right, does that make sense? Ones that we've been doing. Okay, so we're going to do the thumb. We're going to do abduction, adduction first. Thumb, if we're doing AB adduction, is what joint shape? Convex on?
Concave.
Opposite, right? So if I took Erica here and I go abduction, this joint is moving anteriorly, but the orthokinetically is moving posterior. When we do adduction, as it's coming down, this is moving posteriorly, this is moving anteriorly. So what I'm going to do is, let me just double check my position. That's for, I think I'm on the wrong page. There we go. No, I was on the right page. Okay, so I'm going to put her in pronation. I'm going to stabilize the best I can at the I'm going to grab the metacarpal at the base of the metacarpal. Okay, with my other hand, I'm actually going to try to grab right where the trapezoid is. I can't grab the metacarpal because that's the joint I'm trying to move. So if I'm going to do this move, I want to move her, we're going to add adduction first. So I want to do an anterior glide. So it says I want her in pronation. So I'm going to pinch. I'm going to grab the metacarpal, the first metacarpal, and I'm going to do an anterior glide. So anteriorly, I'm going to I'm going to do a posterior glide because it's opposite. So I'm actually so this is the joint I'm working on here. Not this one.
Which joint?
thought you said posterior, you still go down.
Because posterior, you're in a supinated position.
If I'm in supinated position,
So it's different positioning.
Thumb is an opposite
Gets a
way.
different, it's gonna push in the same direction, basically.
90-degree angle.
So if you're supinated, it says you're pushing down. That makes sense on this one.
But if it's
Anterior
opposite,
This one, yeah, this one
okay,
says it too, though.
I'm right.
But then it says direction of force.
Okay, that's right. Okay, I'm gonna do anterior line. That's right, that's right. Okay, so if I'm gonna put her in pronation, anterior line, I'm going to be pushing down with my thumb anteriorly. Okay, that should increase adduction. Do most people have problems with adduction of the thumb?
No.
Now, if I want to do a posterior glide, I could flip her over, and I would switch sides because I'm going to push. Oops.
That's why it looks tricky.
Yeah,
The two have the arrows pointing in the same direction.
so I'm going to grab here, and I'm going to use my thumb and my thenar to push down. I'm going to push posteriorly.
So what you're doing is you're switching her hands, right?
What?
You're switching her hand. But
I-
the one it's
I just
You're
moved.
positioning it differently.
that's why it was.
You got a pronation or something.
Yeah, I can switch it. What's it? Flexion, and extension. We're talking about this joint. We're not looking at the thumb. We're looking here. So flexion is here. Extension is here. So flexion, I'm going to, if I was in anatomical position, it's moving medial, it's moving same direction. So I would pinch. I'm going to take my thumb, and I'm pushing it like I'm trying to push it across her hand. Okay? I'm pushing medially across her hand to try to increase thumb flexion. Other way is thumb extension, right? Thumb extension's this way. So I'm going to pinch. We're still stabilizing here. This time I'm thumb against her thenar, push out to get a lateral. I don't know how you want to say it. Posterior, I don't know, what does it say? Medial and lateral. Ah! I did something right! Woohoo! Yeah! Alright, so you guys are really, I'm very happy with how well you guys know your orthokinetic. If you